Well, welcome both, and yeah, nice practice to start the week off as we head a bit into spring. Today we are going to have a little focus on mindfulness of breath, and also at this changing time with the weather changing around us and a bit more sun coming through, we're just going to have a look at how the weather around us can actually be very reflective of the way that our thoughts and minds work in practice. But before we do that, maybe we could just start with a short sort of landing practice just to settle into the moment so that we're relaxed and calm and settled into the moment and not full of this morning's activities. So I invite you to participate in that kind of relaxed and mindful way. Maybe just find a nice comfortable posture. Wiggle around if you need to find that, and maybe rest your hands on top of your legs or in your lap. You can close your eyes or keep them away, open but lowered if you fancy, whatever you fancy. And in a moment, I'm just going to invite you to take 3 long, slow breaths in and just stretch in whatever way feels comfortable for you. It can be a big stretch with your arms or just scrunching your shoulders up into your neck, whatever it is, just to release any tension that's there. So maybe a long, slow breath in. And then just breathing and letting go of any tension. And another one. And a long, slow breath out. And then one last deep in breath. And long, slow out breath just to relax back into the natural posture. And just allow the breath to return to a natural rhythm. And I invite you now to bring your attention to your breath as it passes in and out of your body in its natural rhythm. Just noticing the breath as it enters the nose, passes down the throat. Just feeling that soft rise and fall of your tummy and your chest. And then the breath passing back out again before being replaced with another breath. And if it helps, you can place one hand on your tongue or your chest. Let's feel the breath and the body. That can be settling and stabilizing if there's a lot on your mind. And if for any reason in this hour together you don't feel comfortable focusing on the breath, that's absolutely fine. And you can just change the attention to your body, maybe your feet on the floor that's supporting you, or any part of your body calling for attention. Or if you're comfortable with the breath, just staying with that. Just noticing the breath or the body. As the sensation arises, breath coming in through your nose, passing out through your nose. Your chest and belly just rising and falling. And just settling into this moment. And the invitation is to be consciously aware of what's happening right now in this present moment. in a non-judging way. This is the practice. We're not thinking of the future. We're not reliving or reminiscing about the past. We're not wishing the present was any different. We're just being present and allowing it to be as it is, however busy or calm or stressed or peaceful, just allowing it to be with a non-judgmental attitude of curiosity, breath by breath. Just noticing the in-breath. Now it becomes the out-breath. And that gentle pause before the next in-breath. And we're just allowing this focus, our focus on our breath or our body, to become our anchor to the present moment, to what's actually happening right here, right now. This place that's always here, a place of calm and refuge, from the sometimes incessant chatter of a busy mind and all the stresses of daily life. And if at any point you realize you've moved away into thoughts or emotions, just an invitation to give a little inner smile and gently bring your attention back to the anchor with a kind and non-judgmental attitude. Remembering that this moment of realizing and returning to the here and now, this waking up out of thoughts and emotions, this is the practice, to keep coming back to the present and allowing it to be. And again. And again. If we notice we're back in our thoughts or our feelings, just that little inner smile and coming back again. And as we move to wrap up this landing practice, just noticing if the thoughts or the inner dialogue of, oh, what's next, starts to arise. And if so, just spotting it. And one last inner smile and just bringing your attention back to the breath, seeing that thought arise and then pass. And just re-anchoring one more time. Just using it to notice the way the mind habitually works. And now in your own time, just invite you to gently open your eyes, have a little stretch as we come back together. So we'll just have a short pause if anyone wants a stretch or a glass of water. Just while you do so, I'd just like to read this short summary by James Barrows of what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it were different. Enjoying the pleasant without holding on when it changes, which it will. Being with the unpleasant without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. So maybe just taking that and now settling into the main practice, just finding that relaxed posture again. If you can, just seeing if you can keep your knees about the same height as your hips or slightly lower so your back is kind of comfortably straight. Not rigid straight, just relaxed comfortably straight. This allows you to stay alert. And in your own time, just closing your eyes or lowering your gaze, whatever's comfortable for you. And now bringing your focus back to the breath as it passes in and out of your body in its natural rhythm. And just following that natural rhythm, the breath entering the nose, passing down the chest to the belly, and flowing back out again. rising and passing. So we're not trying to control the breath in any way, just simply to observe it and follow it and allow it to anchor us to the here and now. There are many reasons why this breath practice is so helpful. First is that the breath is always there. For as long as you're alive, it's always accessible and it's always with you. There's not even an excuse you can say that you left it at home on the kitchen table. The next is because the breath is always moving, always changing. And this perfectly illustrates life and the way that things are also always in movement. Sometimes in small ways, sometimes in major ways. And the breath, with its changes between deep breaths or subtle breaths, reminds us of this. Another reason is because the arising and passing of each breath is very similar to the way that thoughts and feelings occur. When we start to observe them, as opposed to getting lost in them, we notice that just like the breath, they arise, they fill us, and then they pass. The breath is replaced by another breath, and thoughts are replaced by more thoughts. And a further reason is that scientific studies have now shown that as we bring our awareness to the breath, out of our busy minds, our bodies naturally settle and start to produce all the happy chemicals, the endorphins, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, that revitalize us and make us feel recharged and relaxed and positive. For all these reasons, it's also exactly the same if we're focused on our body or external sounds instead of the breath. It's something that anchors us to the present moment. And so we bring our attention to an anchor like this. We steady our minds and just become aware of what's happening right now for us today. And this is mindfulness. And when we notice that our attention is maybe moved off to something else, in that moment of realization and waking up, we can bring our attention back to the anchor of the breath or the body. And this is mindfulness practice. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes it's hard. And either way is absolutely fine. So let's just spend a little time just noticing the breath, however it is today. Is it gentle or laboured? Is it deep or shallow? Or maybe a mixture of the two? And is it changing from the start of the practice? Can we bring our attention and our curiosity to notice where it's easiest to feel the breath? Maybe the tip of the nose, or the throat, or in the chest and tummy as they're physically moving, however subtle. And can we pick up the experience and the skills to notice the breath in different places depending on the mood we're in? If we're a little bit triggered or agitated, it may be that the chest and the belly movement is the easiest place to anchor. Or if we're feeling very calm and relaxed, maybe it's the tip of the nose. And if you notice you've moved away into thoughts or emotions, just an inner smile and gently coming back. No judgment, no self-criticism. You've noticed it and you're back with the anchor. And as we settle deeper, you may start to notice that awareness of the breath starts to allow you to see the movement of the mind, which is a bit like the weather. Sometimes it's still and calm. Sometimes it's stormy and raining. It's always changing. And can we just notice it and accept it for what it is, not wanting it to change, just allowing it, coming back to the breath in the present moment. We get swept away, and allowing it and staying with the breath. You may notice that thoughts or feelings that arise are maybe very subtle, or they may be really quite strong, and everything is fine. Just like weather moving across water, these thoughts and feelings moving across the mind, arising and passing, just allowing them to be. You wouldn't try and fight the weather and tell it to be different. So there's the invitation just to allow that movement of the mind to be, and the noticing that as it's allowed, it often gradually begins to settle. Although sometimes not, sometimes later. And if a particular set of thoughts keep arising, it can sometimes be helpful to name them at a general level, maybe planning. So when they arise, seeing if rather than get involved in them, we can just say, oh, hello, planning mind, planning mind. And actually, I'm choosing now to notice you and just to bring my attention back to the breath. And at the same time, just keep an eye out if they're planning mind is still there in the background, or if it's decided to move on. I sometimes like to imagine that the mind and the breath are a little bit like a lake affected by the weather. When the weather is calm and still, the surface of the water is like a mirror, reflecting the sky above it and the trees and the hills around it. It almost doesn't even look like water, it looks like a mirror. And yet at other times, when there's strong wind or rain, the surface of the water is all ruffled and agitated. In storms, there may even be waves pushing across the surface and crashing into the shore. And all these states of the water are beautiful in their own way. The beauty of the calm, reflective mirror, the beauty of the waves and the foam across the water. But in all situations, the water is still just water. It will never stay in that state forever. It's always changing. From however violent the storm, it'll give way to calm. And however long the calm, there'll be time when there's another storm. And see if you can notice how something like this is happening as you focus your attention on the breath. And it allows you to see what kind of lake your mind is today. Is it calm and reflective? Is it stormy or agitated? And as you notice it, are you aware that it won't be like that forever? Because it's perpetually changing. And as you settle more onto the breath, sometimes you might notice how you actually see a thought arise and fill your mind and pass, just like a breeze, short stab of breeze just passing across the surface of the water. And it's just agitating very slightly the patch that it covers as it moves down the lake and then passes on. But the lake returns to its natural state. As we train our minds to stay with the present, it allows us that freedom to decide, do I want to engage with this thought? What do I want to say? Actually, thank you, but right now I'm happy, just in this state of calm. I can give some thought to that later on if I choose to later. And always remembering that the breath is always there, as that refuge, as that place of calm. And if at any point this week you feel a bit overwhelmed by thoughts or emotions, if the lake is stormy, just gently bringing your attention back to the anchor with a kind and non-judgmental attitude, using it to resettle and balance, and just staying as long as you need. And now, in your own time, I invite you to bring the practice to a close and maybe have a little stretch and gently open your eyes. And as you do so, here's a poem by Wu Men that celebrates this ever-changing nature of reality and the way that the weather reminds us every day of it. 10,000 flowers in spring, a full moon in autumn, a cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind is not clouded by unnecessary things, this is the best season of your life. So, thank you for your practice. In a moment, we'll just open the floor, and I'd just love to hear if there's any observations or how it went. Any questions that you may have, I'll try to answer if I can. And just remembering that this kind of group sharing can be just really beneficial. There's never a stupid question, and normally if you ask the question, it's what's on everyone's minds already. So I'll just stop recording now.